The Florida Panthers are one of the top teams in the entire NHL alongside the New York Rangers from this past regular season. Both these teams ended up winning their first two rounds, obviously, and are now meeting in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Rangers are doing so for the first time since 2021-2022, and they lost to Tampa Bay Lightning in Game 6. And the Florida Panthers made it to the Cup final last year. So these are two very good teams with a lot of playoff experience over the last few seasons. So let's take a look here at some key factors and ways the Rangers can end up beating the Florida Panthers in this Eastern Conference Finals. Starting off here with the special teams, it's going to be a very tough overall series, and the special teams are going to have to play a factor if the Rangers are going to end up coming out on top. Rangers have a very dominant power play and penalty kill. Both of them are quite good, so being able to produce, on these special teams, whether it's stopping the other team from scoring, obviously in the PK, or scoring goals, which we know the Rangers can do so at a pretty good rate on the power play, although it kind of quieted down there for a bit near the end of that Carolina series in the second round, Rangers versus them. It still has been pretty good overall so far this playoffs. Let's take a look here at some numbers. So for the first two rounds combined, the Rangers power play was hitting at a 31.4% clip, which is very good, and the Panthers was only hitting at a 22%. So a pretty big difference there. Rangers power play has definitely been much better so far than the Panthers. Taking a look at the second round only, though, so just when the Rangers ended up beating the Carolina Hurricanes in 6 games, and when the Panthers beat the Bruins in 6 games in those second round series there, New York ended up going up against the best penalty kill from the entire regular season this year, which was the Carolina Hurricanes, and the Florida Panthers ended up going up against the Boston Bruins, who ended up being tied for 6th. The Rangers hitting at a 26.3% clip against the best penalty kill is not too bad at all, and the Panthers up against the 7th best ended up only hitting at a 21.4. So still, Rangers come out on top there in that second round series in the power play, which we know is a pretty big strength for the Rangers there, which is definitely going to be a very important factor to this series for the Rangers. If the Panthers can stay very disciplined and have their PK doing their job, which we know they have a pretty solid one, it will be tough for the Rangers for sure. But if the Rangers power play get clicking, which it can be very dominant, especially with a guy like Chris Kreider there around the net tipping things in, or bearing rebounds, whatever it is, having a guy like that there can definitely be very beneficial at times as well. And taking a look here at the penalty kill percentages for both teams from the first two rounds combined, the Rangers' penalty kill percentage was at an 89.5 and the Panthers was at an 86.1. So both did a very good job there. Taking a look now, though, at the second round, where the Rangers, like I said, played the Canes and the Panthers ended up playing the Bruins, New York ended up facing the second best power play from the regular season, which the Canes had, and the Panthers went up against the 14th best power play from the regular season, which the Bruins had. So the numbers here in the second round only for the penalty kill percentages, the Rangers had a 90.5 and the Panthers had a 93.8. So a bit of a difference there. This is where the Panthers come out on top by a bit, but the Rangers definitely faced a much tougher opponent power play-wise in the second round. So overall, though, I would say the power play percentages kind of clearly show the Rangers have a better power play, but the penalty kill side of things there is very even, and I would say it is very close. And now taking a look here at the goaltending side of things here, I think it's pretty obvious, in my opinion, that the Rangers have the clear better goaltender in Igor Shesterkin over fellow countrymen for Igor, obviously, in Sergei Bobrovsky. I think it's pretty obvious, in my opinion, that Igor is a better goaltender. Some Panthers fans weren't too happy with kind of what I said in my preview video talking about Bobrovsky, but what I said was basically he's not in his prime anymore, which I think is a pretty clear, kind of factor there. I think it's obvious that Bob is not in his prime, top tier form like he has been when he was with the Columbus Blue Jackets, for example. So I don't think what I said there was too wrong. I said Bob was still a good goaltender, which I do think he is. And I also said he's going to be the best goaltender that the Rangers have played so far in the playoffs over guys like Charlie Lindgren and Freddie Anderson. So I think that's kind of obvious there. Bob is still a good goaltender. I'm not trying to say he's not, but he's obviously not as good as he once was back in his Columbus Blue Jackets days, for example. So now let's take a look here at a very important goalie stat, in my opinion, which is goals saved above expected. I think it's honestly one of the best stats to really kind of show how good a goaltender has performed and how good a single goaltender is, because it kind of takes out the fact of, the team in front of them and just kind of saying, how good he's kind of been and how many goals he has saved above expected, which is in the literal name of the stat. So taking a look at the numbers here, in second place, you have Igor Shesterkin, who's at an 8.8. In first place is Jeremy Swayman at 13.3. He has been unreal, but Igor in second place there, 8.8, is not too bad at all. It is very good. In third place, you have guys like Jay Gottinger and Logan Thompson tied for that spot with a 5.2. And then down there in eighth place is Sergei Bobrovsky with a 2.6. So a massive, massive difference there between these two goaltenders. Sergei in eighth place with 6.2 less goals saved above expected than Igor. That is a massive, massive difference there, if we're being honest. And Sergei also has one more game played to even get those numbers up a bit more. So it kind of shows that Igor has been the clear, by far better goaltender so far in these playoffs. And if Panthers fans or NHL fans in general want to try and make the argument that maybe Bobrovsky's, numbers are so low in this stat for goals saved above expected is because the Panthers don't allow too many shots, which that is true. The Panthers don't allow too many shots. They have allowed the on average per game second lowest in the playoffs so far with 24.1. But you compare that to a team like the Predators, for example. That's kind of where I'm going to prove you wrong if you think that, is the fact that the Preds per game in the playoffs only allowed 20.2, which is the by far lowest shots against per game in the playoffs. And a guy like UC Saros ended up having 0.9 more goals saved above expected than Sergei Bobrovsky in 5 less games played. He has a 3.5 goals saved above expected. Bob is down there at a 2.6, a 0.9 difference, which is quite a bit when you consider Bob has played 5 more games. So if you're kind of saying that the reason why Bob's numbers are so low there is because the Panthers don't allow too many shots, that's just wrong, and you can't use that argument. Really, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I did talk about the overall just kind of save percentage and goals against average in the preview video, but I'll go over it quick here. For Igor Shesterkin, he has 10 games played, an 8-2 record with a 9.23 save percentage and a 2.4 goals against average. And then for Bobrovsky there, he is at 11 games played, an 8-3 record with a 9.02 save percentage and a 2.37 goals against average. And by no means am I trying to hate on a guy like Bobrovsky or kind of put him down, but I think he is a very solid goaltender. And like I said, is probably the best goaltender the Rangers have played so far in these playoffs. I think he's better than a guy like Charlie Lindgren, and obviously what Freddie Anderson did in that second round series there, he wasn't too great. I think Bob's going to be the best goalie the Rangers have played, but I do think that there's a pretty massive, massive gap between these two goaltenders in Sergei Bobrovsky and Igor Shesterkin, who has really shown how good of a playoff performer he is. He's been very consistently, great over these last few seasons in the playoffs. So I think a guy like Bobrovsky, yes, he's still good, but I don't think he is near as good as a guy like Igor Shesterkin. And my third key factor or reason for the Rangers to have some good playoff success here in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Florida Panthers is going to be having some more offensive production out of the bottom 6. The top 6 guys have done a great job, I think, so far at producing offensively at a very good level on the power play and, somewhat pretty good as well, I would say, at 5-on-5. But the big thing here is getting some more goals and, points in general, just offensive production out of that bottom 6 there. In the first round, I think they did a pretty great job against the Capitals, especially in those first couple games. But now you're taking a look at these numbers here. The bottom 6 combined in the first 2 rounds ended up having a total of 13 points and 7 goals in both rounds combined against Capitals and against the Canes. Then you take a look at just the second round against the Carolina Hurricanes, though, and that's where things kind of dropped off a bit for the offensive production. Out of that bottom 6, they're having a combined 6 points in 6 games played for those bottom 6 players there in 2 more games played as well, right? In the first round series, we only saw them play 4 games against the Capitals. In 6 games in that second round against the Canes, we only saw a total of 6 points combined from all the bottom 6 players total, with only 3 goals as well. So a pretty big drop off there, not at all what you want to see. Total, they've had 7 goals, 13 points, and in the second round only they had 6 points in 3 goals with 2 more games played. A pretty big drop-off there, and I would definitely like to see a lot more offensive production out of that bottom 6. Although they have a lot of good penalty killers and two-way players and Shaker and stuff like that in that bottom 6, they got to produce more offensively to really give the Rangers a good shot at potentially moving on to the Stanley Cup Finals. Anyways, still, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please smash the like button. Don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on this series, and also don't forget to subscribe for daily New York Rangers content, and don't forget to smash the like button. It helps with the channel a ton. I would really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next one. Bye.